Junta was a lonely, introverted weeb whose only friend was his left hand. However, everything changes when the school's most popular hottie falls for his negative riz and starts teasing him until he falls in love with her. It all starts one day when Junta goes unnoticed by everyone around him because he is like Casper, the ugly ghost with zero social presence. Feeling miserable, Junta Googles how he would survive life as a background character. When Kubo, the hottest e-girl in school, notices Junta and says "Walla hi" before snapping a picture of his cultured browser history. While Junta is begging her to delete the photo, Kubo tells him that she's curious about how invisible he can really be. So, to test his powers out, she orders Junta to stand up on his chair mid-lecture, or else she will leak his ugly picture. Fearing for his pathetic life, Junta stands on his chair and goes unnoticed at first, until he starts dancing around. Finally, the fun-sized teacher notices Junta and tells him to stop being a moron, or he will punish him by giving him a haircut like his. By now, Junta is super upset towards Kubo and decides to write Kubo's name on the first page of Death Note, but then Kubo clarifies that she did all this so he could be noticed by others since she doesn't want him to be forgotten. The following day at school, Kubo greets Junta with a pout on her face, so he asks her if he did something wrong. This further upsets Kubo because she wants Junta to apologize for ignoring her in the morning. Turns out, when Junta was walking to class earlier, Kubo waved at him, but he thought she was waving at her friend, so he walked to class without responding to her. Since Junta is a clueless idiot, Kubo punishes him by sitting on his lap, which gives him brain damage as he's not used to handling all that cake.
Yeah, boy.
Before things get hard for him, Junta runs away, hoping to hide from Kubo, but she easily finds him and asks him what he is doing. By now, Junta is annoyed by the constant teasing and confronts Kubo by asking why she's always bugging him, but she smiles and says that it wouldn't be fun if she told him so soon. Later on, Kubo watches Junta speaking to their Labubu-sized teacher and recalls that he's always doing this before the class. So when he returns to his seat, Kubo asks him what he was doing, and Junta explains that he was talking to their teacher, so he knows he attended the class. Kubo thinks for a bit and tells Junta that he should just try answering questions in class to get himself noticed, but he states that it'll be too nerve-wracking for him. Despite this, Kubo later tells their teacher that Junta wants to answer today's math question, which causes the poor loser to freeze in horror. However, Kubo's plan to make Junta noticeable works as everyone stares at him, wondering if Junta is an Einstein in making since he volunteered to answer. Meanwhile, Junta helplessly looks at Kubo since he doesn't know the answer, so she helps him out by pointing at the right answer. After that, Junta asks Kubo why she would do something like this, and she tells him that she wants him to rely on her. Just seconds later, Kubo is called by the teacher to answer a difficult question, and she looks at Junta for help, so he decides to return the favor by quickly Googling the answer. After class, Kubo asks Junta if he has Snapchat, but before she can get lucky, her friends arrive and clam jam her, so Junta uses this chance to skedaddle. On the weekend, Junta remembers that Grand Theft Auto 6 is finally being released, so he rushes to buy it, but as always, the salesman is unable to see Junta even though he's right in front of him. Feeling defeated over his lack of social presence, Junta returns empty-handed. While he is sulking in the park, Kubo spots his miserable face from afar and asks him why the long face. After he explains what happened, Kubo tries to cheer him up by taking a picture of him, but when the camera refuses to capture his hideous face, Junta tells Kubo that even cameras have a hard time detecting his presence. However, refusing to give up, Kubo scoots closer to Junta and snaps a selfie with him, making him realize that when he's with Kubo, it's like he's no longer wearing Harry Potter's invisibility cloak. As Kubo had desperately wanted Junta's Snapchat, she tells him they should exchange usernames so she can send him their picture. Junta reluctantly agrees, and Kubo's face lights up like the 4th of July sky as she looks at their picture with lovely dovey eyes.
It should have been me, not him!
Later that night, Junta thinks about Kubo and wonders if he should ask her to become his Discord kitten, but then he remembers that he is too chopped and too broke for that to happen. Just then, Kubo sends him a selfie and asks if he would like to hang out sometime, leaving him completely stunned. After 5 minutes, Junta finally replies with a yes, making Kubo feel like Christmas came early this year. The next day, Junta considers taking a nap since he can only have a good love life in his dreams. He then turns around and is gobsmacked by how beautiful Kubo looks in her sleep. Later that day, Junta limps around the hallway as he had just finished a relay race. Suddenly, Kubo arrives and asks Junta if he is okay, but the idiot backs away, stating that he smells like a dead rat from all the sweat. Closing the distance, Kubo takes a long, hard sniff and tells Junta that she can totally get high on his onion-scented armpits. While his heart is beating fast, Kubo excuses herself, leaving him to think about how hot she looked in a ponytail. He then wonders if he should change his hairstyle, but decides against it since he'll just look like a discounted Levi Ackerman. Then, all of a sudden, Kubo bamboozles Junta by wiping his sweat with one of her scented wipes, and tells him that now they both smell like cookies and cream. While Junta is frozen, Kubo heads to the changing room, where her friend asks her to lend her some wet wipes. Kubo doesn't want anyone else smelling like her and Junta, so she tells her friend to stop being a broke, beggar bum. After returning home, Junta realizes the latest volume of his favorite manga, Boku no Pico, is about to get released, so he hurries to the nearest bookstore. However, upon reaching, Junta gets brutally ignored by the automatic sliding door, which leaves him frustrated. Kubo, who had been watching this the whole time, feels sorry for Junta and steps in to help him out. After freaking out at the closeness, Junta thanks Kubo and admits that modern technology ignores him like everyone ignores the terms and conditions page. As they walk inside, Kubo asks Junta what he's going to buy today, and he excitedly shows her his favorite manga. Finding it cool, Kubo decides to buy the manga as well, but since it's already out of stock, she begs Junta to let her borrow from his collection. Though the request shocks Junta, he agrees because no one says no to a girl with purple hair. After stepping out of the store, Kubo learns that Junta lives near her, so she eagerly tells him to take her home. By now, Junta's cultured mind is racing with some dark, unholy ideas, so when Kubo notices the thirst on his face, she clarifies that she just wants to read the manga. After arriving at his crib, Junta hands Kubo the mangas and promises to lend her more if she enjoys seeing Pico lick ice cream.
What do you mean by that?
Kubo then asks Junta what time he leaves for school, and after learning that he leaves earlier than her, Kubo smiles and says toodles to him. The next day, Kubo wakes up with the roosters so she can walk to school with her crush. While getting dressed, Kubo wears her sister's expensive hair mist, made from mermaid tears, just so she can riz Junta out of his pants. While having breakfast, Kubo's elder sister, Akina, asks her if there's an event at school, since she is wearing her hair mist. When Kubo tells her no, Akina immediately asks her if she is trying to riz up a teacher for an A grade. Not wanting to get caught, Kubo hurries out of the door, while Akina laughs at her, leaving Kubo thinking that elder siblings are like snakes. However, after Kubo is gone, Akina smiles, hoping her sister gets lucky with her crush. Meanwhile, Kubo greets Junta, expecting a compliment, but since the moron has fewer brain cells than an egg, he gives Kubo a simple greeting, leaving her disappointed. While walking together with Kubo, Junta thinks that since childhood, the only company he ever had was his dark thoughts, but now he's walking to school with the hottest pair of cheeks in school. Suddenly, Kubo points at a bench and tells Junta that they should take a breather. While sitting together, Junta wonders if he should invite Kubo to play Among Us with him, when she points at a store called Lonely Mart and asks Junta if they named after him. Before Junta can respond, Kubo's friends Hazuki and Tama show up. As they start gossiping with Kubo, she reminds them that Junta is sitting right next to her, leaving them shocked since they hadn't noticed him before. Not wanting to be called their twink best friend, Junta gets up and says, "Adios, brachachos." Once he's gone, Hazuki and Tama tell Kubo that it must be their lucky day, as they saw Junta today, and while they're considering purchasing a lottery ticket, Kubo tells them to stop treating Junta like a rare Charizard Pokemon card. At school, Junta sits alone, wasting oxygen until it's finally time to go home and bed rot. However, on the way, he notices a lady coming, but she doesn't see him, so Junta is forced to step out of the pedestrian walk, causing him to get splashed by a car. However, instead of crashing out, Junta just thinks that he won't need to bathe for a year now, and continues walking home until he gets stopped by Kubo, who reveals she saw everything. Just to make sure Junta gets home safe, Kubo accompanies him home, only for him to realize that he has forgotten his keys inside. Since his mother won't be home for the next 2 hours, Kubo invites Junta to her place, and he agrees since it's cold and his nuts have turned into ice cubes. After arriving, Kubo tells Junta to dry up in her bathroom, where he discovers Kubo's stinky plot armor. Before things get awkward, Kubo quickly hides her peach protectors, and Junta pretends that he didn't see anything. After that, Kubo leaves to get Junta a fresh set of clothes, which he quickly changes into, and later thanks Kubo for being so polite. In response, Kubo plays with his hair and tells him to get home safely.
It should have been me, not him!
Once Junta is out of the door, he can't help but blush over how wifey Kubo really is. The next morning, Junta is on his way to class when he finds Kubo on the stairs, making him recall how she seemed like his very own guardian angel yesterday. He then hands her the wash track suit, and Kubo asks him if it was short on him. He lies and says it was slightly smaller for his body, which causes Kubo to inquire about his height. When Junta reveals he is 5'4", Kubo teases him by saying that if they became a couple, he would be the shoddy while she would be the overprotective boyfriend who gives head pets. After hearing that, Junta dies a little inside and wishes that he were slightly taller, so Kubo tells him that he can grow in height by drinking from her calcium tanks. As Junta looks at Kubo with surprise, she smiles and says bazinga, she was just kidding, which causes Junta to facepalm in mega disappointment. A few days later, Kubo and Junta give their last exam for this session, and before Kubo can ask Junta about his holiday plans, he dashes out, leaving her all sad. That evening, a diddler sees a Happy Meal warrior playing by himself, so she tells him about her ice cream truck, but then Junta appears and tells the lady swiper no swiping. As the lady walks away, Junta apologizes to his little brother, Seita, as he feels bad for not being protective enough. Seita then reassures Junta by giving him a snowball, which leaves him shuddering, but he promises himself to stay out as long as he can so Seita can continue having fun. Just then, Kubo arrives with hot chocolate, and after spotting Seita, she realizes that Junta is her elder brother. When Seita notices a hot baddie talking to his useless, good-for-nothing brother, he comes up to her and tries to riz her with his cuteness. However, he quickly forgets his mission when he notices the hot chocolate in Kubo's hand. Junta then tells his brother to stop acting like he's a foster care brat, but Kubo gives her drink to Seita, hoping it would riz Junta. After taking a sip, Seita tells Kubo to drink some, and she happily obliges. Next, Seita asks Junta to drink, but he panics as he doesn't want Kubo's nasty germs in his mouth. When Seita starts to cry, Kubo tells Junta to just pretend, which thankfully calms the crying brat. Once they are alone, Kubo teasingly asks Junta if he avoided drinking from the bottle because he doesn't want to indirectly kiss her, but instead of admitting that he is a loser virgin, Junta tells Kubo that he is going home, causing her to giggle over his awkwardness. The next day, Junta completes a manga series and decides to buy the main character's unplotted pictures, but since he doesn't want to be caught, he goes to a new bookstore, which is miles away from his place. Arriving at the store, Junta notices that there are too many gooners around, so he patiently waits and then grabs his picture book until he notices a more cultured book. He thinks to himself that no one knows him, and since he's invisible like his teacher's hairline, it should be okay for him to sneak a peek. Just then, Akina, who works at the store, puts her arm on Junta's shoulders and asks him what he is doing. Caught red-handed, Junta calmly tells Akina that he just wanted to know if this is the treasure they were trying to find in One Piece for the last 900 episodes. While Akina is giggling over his blatant lie, Junta learns that Akina has the same last name as Kubo, the only other person who never had trouble detecting him. But being the idiot sandwich that he is, Junta concludes that everyone with that last name has a special power and heads home. While Akina picks up his identity card and learns he goes to the same school as Kubo. That evening, Akina enters Kubo's room without permission and tells her to return the identity card to the owner. Kubo is shocked to see Junta's ugly face, while her sister reveals that the boy was caught with a cultured book that had a woman with huge bazookas. At that moment, Kubo's heart breaks into a million pieces since the plot god made her flat as a road. The next day at school, Kubo shows Junta his identity card, but refuses to give it back. She then reveals that her sister found it in a bookstore, before asking him if he is into mommy milkers. Junta freezes in shock, wondering if Kubo saw him at the bookstore yesterday, and before he can clarify, Kubo slaps the identity card on his face and walks out, leaving him all upset. That night, Akina asks Kubo what her plans are for Christmas, but since Kubo can't tell her sister that she wants to dress as Santa and be a ho-ho-ho for Junta, she remains quiet. Yet the following day, Kubo asks Junta if he remembers their promise, but as always, Junta has no clue, so Kubo reminds him that he promised to hang out with her. She then asks Junta if he has any free days, and the moron looks at his calendar like he's some hot Chad, only to realize that he's a worthless loser who never gets invited by anyone. So, when he tells Kubo he is free every day, she asks him to hang out with her on Christmas. On the day of the big meetup, Junta shows up 30 minutes earlier and struggles to avoid the crowd since nobody can see him. Luckily, Kubo arrives and asks Junta how long he has been waiting. Junta doesn't want Kubo to feel bad, so he lies and says he just got there, but she doesn't believe him and grabs his hand. After finding his palms colder than Ola's wee-wee, Kubo realizes that he has been waiting for too long. So, to make up, Kubo gives Junta his Christmas present, which makes him realize that he forgot to bring her one. However, Kubo tells him that he doesn't have to worry, as he can still buy her an iPhone 17 Pro Max, which makes him run away. Junta eventually returns with some pink mittens and tells Kubo that he wanted to get her something that would keep her hands warm. This makes Kubo blush with happiness, as she never imagined someone as dense as Junta to be so thoughtful. She then realizes that she will have to give Junta a new present, since she got him a shirt from Brokemart with main character written on it. However, Junta assures Kubo that he never imagined getting a gift from a shoddy, so he is very happy with the piss-colored shirt that she got for him. Several weeks later, Seita watches Power Rangers and mimics their transformation, which upsets Junta as he doesn't want the brat ruining the show for him. So, he takes Seita to an abandoned park and shows him the way to transform. While Seita is amazed by how cool his low-life brother can be, Junta tells him that if he gets the transformation wrong, he will be shipped to Afghanistan. Seita then asks Junta to show him the transformation one more time, and when he does, Kubo spawns out of nowhere and records it, leaving Junta more traumatized than a World War II soldier. The next day at school, Junta realizes he is wearing the wrong socks, but no one cares enough about this bozo to even clown him. Just then, Kubo and her gang walk inside, talking about Valentine's Day, which you and Junta will never get to experience. Looking at Kubo, Junta can't help but think that something is off with her today, when she suddenly appears next to him and asks why he has been staring at her, but he says it's nothing. Throughout the day, Junta worries if something is wrong with Kubo, while their teacher tells everyone they will get a lot of homework, since he's salty about not getting any hoes. Then, after class, he asks Kubo to put up warning posters regarding funny diseases, so she asks the ugly Thumbelina to help her out. Junta agrees and gets on his tippy toes to plaster the poster, but when he remembers he's wearing mismatched socks, he becomes self-conscious and tells Kubo they should just get a chair. Kubo already knows what's up, so she assures Junta not to worry about his socks and climbs on the chair to fix the poster. That's when Junta realizes that Kubo seemed different because she is wearing tights today. When he accidentally blurts out his cultured thoughts, Kubo gets surprised because Junta is not the type to notice such things. She then reveals that her socks were still wet, so she decided to wear tights to school. Meanwhile, Junta wonders why Kubo isn't teasing him, until she gives him a naughty smile and calls him a dirty little boy for staring at her legs. While Junta is trying to justify himself, Kubo tells him that she wants to have Buckstar drink with him, and when he agrees, she becomes excited. After getting there, Kubo struggles to select a drink, while Junta thinks to himself that Kubo is a beauty with no brains. Then, after 30 minutes, Kubo tells Junta they should share a drink, which gives him butterflies, so he quickly reminds himself that Kubo must be toying with him. He then tells her that he doesn't want to have a drink and tries to walk away, but Kubo grabs his arm. She then tells Junta not to leave her alone since this is her first time at a coffee shop. 10 minutes later, Kubo struggles to order and looks at Junta for help, who quietly guides her until her coffee is finally ready. On the way home, Junta finds it weird that Kubo couldn't place an order, and wonders if she is on the spectrum. Suddenly, Kubo offers him a sip from her drink, but he refuses as he doesn't want to catch her cooties. Meanwhile, Kubo is desperate to build a plot with this clueless idiot, so she tells Junta she wants his juicy soft meatballs. Before he can argue, Kubo quickly takes a bite and thanks him for the food, before walking away. Meanwhile, Junta stares at the meatball and replays how cute Kubo looked eating his food. Just as he is about to place his lips on Kubo's bite mark, two ladies bump into him, and the meatball falls on the ground, shattering his hopes and dreams. On Valentine's Day, Junta notices that all the boys around him are anticipating chocolates from the baddies of the school. Junta, on the other hand, knows that the only relationship he will ever have is with his left hand, so he remains unbothered until he finds a chocolate present sitting in his desk. For the next 5 minutes, Junta glitches and eventually concludes that someone must have placed the chocolate accidentally in his desk. After giving it another thought, Junta wonders if perhaps it was Kubo who gave him the chocolate out of obligation, but then he smashes his head against the table for even thinking that. As always, Kubo spawns right on time and asks Junta if he's okay since his forehead looks as red as a baboon's tush. Shocked to see her, Junta backs away and considers asking Kubo if she got him the present. After hesitating for another 10 minutes, Junta decides to stay quiet, as there is no way anyone would be down bad enough to give him chocolate. Kubo eventually breaks the silence and asks Junta if he receives something special, but he tells her no, which gets Kubo smiling. As Junta wonders why Kubo is so happy, she tells him that the chocolate inside his desk is made with a lot of care, so he should cherish it. When Junta tells Kubo he doesn't believe it's for him, she reassures him that the present is for him and walks away before Junta can ask anything further. Despite Kubo's million clues, that idiot wonders if it was his dead granny who gave him the chocolate. The day before Valentine's, Kubo came home with shopping bags, as she had planned to make homemade chocolate for Junta. When Akina learned of her plans, she became fearful that Kubo would burn down the house down since her culinary skills are completely trash. In the meantime, Kubo Googled 5-minute chocolate recipe and got to work. When the chocolates came out looking like dog poop, Akina begged Kubo to just get them from the store, but Kubo remained determined and told Akina she is gonna try until she got it right. After hearing that, Akina was curious why she was so determined, so she asked Kubo if there was a special someone in her life. But Kubo pouted in response and told Akina she was making the chocolates for her friends. Even when her lie was blatantly obvious, Akina decided to help Kubo by making chocolates for herself and told Kubo to mimic her actions. Once they were done, Kubo noticed that her chocolates looked like they were on disability check, while Akina's were perfect. While she was mulling over them, Akina grabbed and ate one. She then told Kubo that her chocolates tasted better because they were made with love. In the present, Junta takes a bite of the chocolate made by Kubo and admits that his secret admirer can cook. The next day, during lunch break, Junta finds himself appreciating his invisibility skills, since it allows him to have lunch at all the cool spots in school without being caught. With the weather all bright and sunny, Junta heads to the back of the school to eat his lunch when he is caught by Kubo, as always. While looking at her, Junta thinks that he can escape his shadow, but not Kubo, as she sits next to him and tells him they should eat lunch together. Shocked, Junta asks Kubo why she's not eating with her friends, and she reveals that they are all busy doing side character things. Junta gives up after that and opens his bento to eat, when he finds Kubo staring at his lunch like a hungry rat. Not wanting to get food poisoning, Junta asks Kubo if she wants to have some, and she happily says yes and tells Junta they should trade their food. Before Junta can say no, Kubo urges him to eat from her hand, but Junta snatches the bite and leaves Kubo pouting. After that, he offers his food, and Kubo makes sure to eat from his hand. While Junta's soul evaporates from his body, Kubo smiles and tells him to try her homemade omelet. Junta takes a bite and gets lost in the sauce, while Kubo proudly tells him that she made everything herself, which shocks Junta as he never expected her to solo Gordon Ramsay. Noticing his reaction, Kubo giggles and promises to make more home-cooked meals for him. Later that afternoon, Kubo meets with her friends, and Tama immediately points out that she has that glow on her, which means she has a crush. When Hazuki tells Tama that Kubo has never fallen in love, she gets shocked since Kubo looks like the girl who dates the entire football team. Tama then asks Kubo if she is batting for the other team and asks her if she wants a kiss, but Hazuki pulls her back, asking Kubo if she's interested in someone. When Kubo confesses that she likes Junta, her friends go into shock, as they never expected their hot friend to go for a guy with chicken legs. While Hazuki remains quiet, Tama bluntly asks Kubo why she would fall for a chopped guy like Junta, who would never make it to the big leagues. Upset by Tama's remark, Kubo silences her and states that she doesn't know Junta as well as she does. As Kubo warns her friends that she won't tolerate any Junta slander, Tama starts crying and begging for forgiveness. Consoling her, Kubo apologizes for being harsh when Hazuki asks Kubo what made her like Junta. Thinking for a second, Kubo tells Hazuki that Junta is skinny, which obviously means he's packing an 11-inch meat sword. Proud of Kubo's reasoning, Hazuki then asks her what she would do if Junta were caught talking to another baddie. Kubo thinks for a while and gets depressed at the thought of Junta being with another girl. The next morning, Junta arrives at school earlier, hoping to spend some alone time. Unfortunately, Kubo is already in class listening to Eminem and asks Junta if he wants to jam with her. Despite him saying no, Kubo places an earbud in his ear and sits next to him so they can listen to Smack That. After the song, Kubo tells Junta that she wants to hear his playlist and hands him the earphones, but he panics and tells Kubo that he only listens to funk and speed barking compilation on repeat. Kubo, being mega down bad for him, tells Junta that she wants to know him more, so he reluctantly lets her listen to some Spanish funk. While spending time together, Kubo tells Junta that she enjoyed reading the manga he gave her, which gets him so excited that he starts yapping about how the manga is going to get its very own anime and live adaptation. In that moment, Kubo finds Junta the cutest and decides to get to know him more by later watching the anime of his favorite manga. Midway through, Akina walks in and finds her sister, who usually watches Winx Club, vibing to a shonen cartoon. Surprised by this, Akina then asks Kubo why she is watching that, so she lies and says that her friends recommended it to her. In response, Akina smiles, knowing only a boy can recommend something like that, but she decides to keep her mouth shut until Kubo is comfortable with telling her the truth. Meanwhile, at his place, Junta looks at the calendar and realizes White Day is just around the corner. Since this Valentine's Day, he received a chocolate, Junta feels obligated to return the favor to his secret admirer and decides to head down to the local chocolate shop. Upon arrival, Junta struggles to find the perfect gift box, so he purposely falls down to catch the store manager's attention. When she comes to help him, Junta asks her to give him something appropriate for White Day. The next day, Junta sits with the chocolate resting inside his desk and wonders how he should deliver the present. So, he turns to the only person he knows in class and asks Kubo if they can step outside to talk. As this is the first time Junta has struck up a conversation, Kubo looks at him in shock and quickly follows him outside. Once they are alone, Junta hands her the chocolate bag and tells Kubo that he wants to give it to a girl, which shatters Kubo's heart. Quickly composing herself, Kubo asks Junta if it's a girl in their class, and he reveals that he just wants to deliver the chocolates to the girl who gave him yummy chocolate on Valentine's Day. Just to confirm, Kubo asks Junta how many chocolates he received, and when he says one, she smiles happily, which leaves Junta super confused. While he is wondering why Kubo is in a good mood, she tells Junta that she thought he was going to confess to her when he called her outside. Upon hearing this, Junta's mind starts breakdancing with embarrassment until Kubo tells him that she was just messing with him and promises to deliver the chocolates to the mystery girl. Out of curiosity, Junta begs Kubo to just tell him who was desperate enough to give him chocolate. Instead of telling him directly, Kubo asks Junta what he would do if he received chocolates from her, and he shyly tells her that anyone with 2 brain cells would feel happy. Since Kubo is pleased by his response, she tells him the girl would feel happy over his present. However, Junta still wants to know who it was, so he asks Kubo again, but she tells him that he should figure that out on his own, leaving him all curious. A few weeks later, Kubo stares at Junta from afar when her friend, Tama, shows up and asks Kubo if she knows where Junta is. When asked why, Tama reveals that she's about to gamble her family's entire fortune, so she needs to see Junta's face since he's rarer than a clover leaf. In response, Kubo tells Tama she hasn't seen Junta all day, which makes him sad since Kubo was the only one who could see him. As Tama leaves to find her lucky charm, Kubo informs Junta that he has that Sasuke Uchiha hair, which is why she didn't tell Tama where he was. Embarrassed by this, Junta dashes out to fix his hair while Kubo giggles to herself since this is the first time she has seen Junta with bed hair. Later that evening, Junta recounts how horrible it used to be for him to drop his belongings since people struggled to spot him. So, for that reason, he became extra careful, but this day, he has a small mishap and ends up dropping his handkerchief. Just then, a low-resolution adult hollers at Junta and hands him his handkerchief, which makes him wonder why he has been getting noticed lately. Looking at the girl, Junta asks himself why she looks so familiar when Akina arrives and calls Junta the cultured boy who was caught looking at playboys. Junta freezes up in embarrassment as the girl named Saki backs away in disgust, so he tells Akina that he was just lost in the sauce. In reply, she asks Junta if her sister returned his identity card, which further shocks him as he never imagined Akina to be Kubo's sister. While he's frozen like a statue, Akina introduces Saki as their cousin and teasingly asks Junta if she reminds him of Kubo. When he says yes, Akina shows him a picture of Kubo from her childhood days and asks him if he finds her cute. While he is struggling to answer, Saki reveals that she wants to be just as cute as Kubo, which is why she is growing her hair out. This further gives Akina a reason to tease Junta as she asks him if he sees potential in Saki. While shaking like a leaf, Junta tells Saki that she will definitely have the potential to get invited to Leonardo DiCaprio's yacht. After having her fun with Junta, Akina rewards him by sending him a picture of pre-cooked Kubo on Snapchat and walks away with Saki. Returning home, Akina tells Kubo that she ran into her classmate, who has the personality of a boiled egg. Kubo immediately knows she's talking about Junta, so she asks him if something happened, and Akina tells her they exchange Snapchat accounts, while Saki reveals that Junta said she was as cute as her. As Kubo blushes to herself, Akina notices this and teasingly tells her that she should invite Junta again. However, Kubo freaks out and asks Akina if she was aware of Junta's first visit, only to realize that her sister was playing with her as usual. Then, out of the blue, Saki tells Kubo that she and Junta must be real good friends and starts pouting over it. Meanwhile, at the Shirishi household, Junta's thick mommy reminds him about the upcoming exams and warns him that if he fails, then he's gonna get the belt treatment. At school the next day, Junta thinks about what his mother said and worries about clearing his exams. He then recalls how hard it is to get the teacher's attention when he drops the eraser during the exam and makes a mental note of stocking up on them. After that, Junta notices that everyone is busy preparing for exams with their friends, which is out of the question for him since he's an ugly idiot. So he takes his pathetic self to the library to study a little, but quickly realizes that he is too much of a moron to understand basic maths. Just when he's thinking about taking classes from an Indian professor on YouTube, Kubo arrives and tells Junta that she can help him out since she just went over the exam material yesterday. Before Junta can turn her down, Kubo Naruto runs outside and then returns with some Mia Khalifa glasses to make her look smart and hot at the same time. Junta then remembers that Kubo is one of the high-ranking students of their school and considers asking her for help until he remembers that she is also a big tease who will either make fun of him or make him do silly things for getting the answers wrong. Yet, despite this, Junta asks Kubo to help him out as he doesn't want to get whooped by his ugly mother. Kubo takes a seat next to him and starts explaining the questions to him, which shocks Junta since he was expecting her to make fun of him. Noticing the dumb look on Junta's face, Kubo asks him if he was expecting her to mock him, and when he silently says yes, Kubo tells him that she would never make fun of someone who is trying to be better. At that moment, Junta realizes that Kubo is an awesome teacher and looks forward to their next study session, but the next day, he comes down with a fever. While lying in bed, Junta thinks about how he has never missed school, and this would be his first time. Junta has only ever received awards for full attendance, so he worries that his record will be tarnished, before remembering that he is invisible to everyone. Meanwhile, at school, their teacher informs everyone that Junta is sick and cautions everyone to stay away from that sick loser since their exams are coming. After class, Tama and Hazuki ask Kubo if she noticed Junta's absence, since they couldn't tell. She tells them that she didn't know either until the teacher pointed it out, but her girlfriends already know that she is a big fat liar. Later on, Kubo sends a text to Junta, asking him if he'll come to school tomorrow. Just when he is about to reply, Seita arrives and tries to snatch his phone to play Subway Surfers. During the tussle, Seita accidentally sends an I miss you sticker to Kubo, which gets her heart racing fast until Junta explains that it was his brother's doing, and crushes all her hopes. The next day, Junta is running late and considers skipping the first period altogether. While he is sitting outside, Kubo walks out of the class looking feverish. Before he can ask what's wrong, she falls on him and explains that she is a little dizzy, which is why she's going to the infirmary. Seeing her wobble towards the nurse's office, Junta advises Kubo to take a friend with her, but she tells him that everyone is currently taking a quiz and asks him to hurry inside. After giving it a thought, Junta decides to follow Kubo to make sure she safely reaches sickbay. Sending his presents, Kubo thanks Junta by leaning closer to him. At the infirmary, Junta tucks Kubo into the bed, letting her fall asleep. Once the nurse arrives and takes control of the situation, Junta leaves the infirmary, feeling like a main character for the first time in his life. After the final exams, Junta paces around the school hallway, feeling proud that he managed to score decent grades and avoid getting whooped by his mother. Just then, Kubo arrives and asks Junta if something happened because he looks rather happy today. Junta is shocked that Kubo is able to detect his emotions so well and tells her that he is grateful for all the tutoring he gave him. At this, Kubo tells Junta that she knows he is a crayon eater, so she was basically doing God's work by helping him. When Kubo offers to help him next semester, Junta reminds her that they will likely be in separate sections, which bums her out. After school, they notice that it has started to rain, and Kubo asks Junta if he brought his umbrella. When Junta tells her he forgot his at home, Kubo excitedly offers to share hers with him, but Junta freaks out as he doesn't want to look like her fruity best friend. Just to make sure her crush isn't obvious, Kubo tells Junta that she wants to conduct an experiment and see if people will notice him next to her. Not wanting to be Kubo's lab rat, Junta declines her offer and is about to walk away when she stops him and tells him to use her umbrella, as she will race home. While Junta is taken aback by Kobo's thoughtfulness, she runs ahead, but he catches up to her and puts the umbrella on her head. Junta then tells Kubo that he doesn't believe any woman should get wet around him, so they should share the umbrella, but unbeknownst to him, this opens Kubo's floodgates as she smiles happily to herself. Just then, Junta realizes that he must look like an ugly simp holding an umbrella for Kubo and tries to maintain his distance, even suggesting they take an empty road. Kubo agrees, and they walk quietly on a road where it doesn't get much foot traffic. Just then, Kubo asks Junta if he insisted on taking an empty street so he can spend more quality time with her. Junta goes into denial mode as he never wanted Kubo to think that he's a mega simp. Meanwhile, Akina spots the two walking together and smiles to herself, missing her own moments when she used to be a young hoe. Finally arriving home, Junta thanks Kubo and walks in when his mother notices his shoulder stained with water and wonders what kind of selfish loser her son was with. When Kubo arrives at home, Akina smirks and tells Kubo that she sure took her sweet time, leaving her confused. Kubo then tells Akina that she usually gets home around the same time, but she continues grinning and then informs Kubo that Saki will be visiting them on the weekend. On Saturday, Junta spots an emo girl with purple hair and realizes it's Saki. When he finds her carrying some heavy bags, he decides to offer his help, but Saki turns him down and says that she wants to impress Kubo by carrying all the bags herself. After hearing that, Junta thinks of Seita, and so out of concern, he tells Saki that Kubo will be worried if she sees the marks around her wrists from carrying such heavy bags. To further convince her, Junta tells Saki that when they arrive near Kubo's place, he will let her hold all the bags. Finally agreeing, Saki lumps all the bags on Junta, making him wonder if this crotch demon is carrying rocks inside it. When he curiously asks what's in the bags, Saki reveals that she recently learned how to make a stew and wants to make some for her role model, Kubo. In the meantime, Kubo is freaking out since Saki hasn't arrived and wonders if she got kidnapped by an ice cream truck. Akina, on the other hand, tells Kubo that she is overthinking it, but she tells her sister that she is going to check up on their cousin. As Kubo rushes out, she receives a text from Junta, asking if she has soya sauce at home, since Saki forgot to buy some. Confused, Kubo wonders why they are together and decides to run faster, fearing that Junta may be a Diddy fan. Meanwhile, Saki asks Junta if he is close with Kubo, and when he reveals they are just classmates, she becomes incredibly happy. To further tease him, Saki proudly tells Junta that she is super close with Kubo, and she even gets to call her by her first name. As Junta remains quiet, Saki wonders if Junta doesn't know Kubo's first name. Just when she accuses him of that, Kubo arrives, and Saki directly tells her that Junta doesn't even know her birth name. Even though Kubo knows that it's not true, she tells Junta how sad she is that he doesn't know his future wife's name. To prove that he knows, Junta calls Kubo by her first name, and she eagerly returns the favor. After that, she thanks Junta for helping Saki and walks away with her cousin, who quickly notices the blush on Kubo's face and calls Junta a liar for saying they are just classmates. At school the next day, Junta starts sneezing since it's pollen season and gets noticed by everyone around him. Then, during the lecture, Junta finds himself getting bored, so he decides to break apart his pen to play with its spring, but accidentally shoots it away. While trying to find it, Junta notices Kubo looking at him like he's dog vomit and asks him why he's behaving like he has an extra chromosome. Now embarrassed, Junta reveals that he was just interested in the mechanics of the pen. Just then, the teacher tells everyone to start self-checking their homework, which puts Junta in a tight spot since he just lost his only functioning pen. As always, Kubo comes to his rescue and hands him a cute pen so they can match. When Junta hesitates to use such a girly pen, Kubo reminds him that he doesn't have any other options, making him surrender. After class, Kubo tells Junta to keep the pen with him forever so he can always remember her. Since it's the last day of their semester, Kubo invites her friends, Tama and Hazuki, for a sleepover. When she asks them how their exams went, Tama proudly reveals that she failed in one of her exams, and Kubo decides to reward her by giving her multiple head pats. When Hazuki asks why Tama is receiving so much love, Kubo reveals that this is the first time Tama hasn't failed all her exams. After letting out a sigh, Hazuki reveals that she did well in all her exams, and the girls hope that she becomes the president of Japan so everyone can legally marry their anime crushes. As the sleepover progresses, Tama becomes sad that they will all be separated soon for the next semester. After giving them all a bear hug, Tama asks Kubo if she is worried that she won't be in the same class as Junta. While thinking about him, Kubo blushes and tells her friends that she doesn't care she is in the same class as Junta, which makes her friends smile since they know just how down bad Kubo is for that skinny legend. During the holidays, Junta's mother sends him to do some grocery shopping, and Seita tags along, in hopes of rizzing up some mommies with his cuteness. Meanwhile, Kubo, Akina, and Saki are out watching the cherry blossoms, and Saki excitedly tells them that she is looking forward to their picnic. At this, Akina suggests they all prepare a spread and asks Kubo if she would like to join them. Kubo immediately refuses since she will only wifey things for her mans. Despite feeling sad, Saki tells Kubo that as long as she tastes her cooking, she will be happy. When Akina sees Kubo being touched by Saki's words, she cutely tells Kubo that she's gonna make good food for her too. However, Kubo cringes and walks away with Saki, leaving Akina all upset. After arriving at the grocery shop, Kubo notices something and tells Saki and Akina that she is gonna be right back. Saki quickly follows after Kubo, leaving Akina confused until she realizes what's going on and starts smiling. Seconds later, Kubo hugs Junta from behind and greets Seita, while Junta freezes thanks to all the plot touching his back. Just then, Saki interrupts them and tries to poison Junta through her eyes, causing him to freak out. Junta then introduces Saki to Seita, and it was at that moment that Seita realized there is more to life than cocomelon. Unable to tolerate so much beauty, Seita hides behind Junta, who is confused by his brother's behavior. On the other hand, Saki gently asks Seita if he is okay, which causes him to blush even harder. He then offers Saki his favorite rock like a freaking Neanderthal and hopes this will be enough to rizz her up. All of a sudden, Akina spawns out of thin air and creeps them all out with her funky smile. After noticing Junta's grocery basket, Akina begs him to help them pick out some good veggies. When he agrees, she invites him to the family cookout as a thank you, much to Saki's horror. Kubo, on the other hand, is excited for it, and since Akina knows this, she tells her to join the cooking league. The next morning, Kubo is having a hard time peeling onions, while Akina laughs at her sister's misery. Saki then asks the red-haired demon what Kubo is making, and Akina reveals that she is trying to cook hamburger steak, which turns out to be Junta's favorite. Saki then tells Akina she is going to help Kubo since she doesn't want to get explosive diarrhea on their picnic. Akina is grateful and thanks Saki by hugging her, which grosses her out, so she quickly heads to the kitchen. Once inside, Saki gently guides Kubo, but even then, Kubo is way too stupid to follow simple directions and ends up cutting her finger. Feeling guilty, Saki apologizes to Kubo, but she assures her that it's not her fault that she has ligma. Despite this, Saki sternly tells Kubo to sit outside and let her make the hamburger steak, causing Kubo to realize that she is being an unnecessary headache. As she quietly sits outside, Akina walks inside, noticing the tense environment. When she learns what happened, she assures Saki that Kubo got hurt because of her own carelessness, and asks her to give Kubo one more chance because she is a fast learner. This gives Kubo enough confidence, and she tells Saki that she wants to make the hamburger steak herself so she can fatten up Junta to the point that he can't run away from her. Finding her determination cute, both Saki and Akina start laughing, leaving Kubo confused. After helping Saki prepare the hamburger steak, Kubo lets out a relieved sigh, causing Saki to realize that she's basically doing wife duties for that ugly waste of oxygen, Junta. So out of spite, Saki asks Kubo to give her a bite of the hamburger steak, and while Kubo is feeding her, Akina looks at them, wishing she had such cute moments before she hit the wall. Later that evening, Kubo and her family meet up with Junta and Seita in the Cherry Blossom Park. Just then, Junta's stomach growls like a hungry caveman, which causes him embarrassment and makes Kubo giggle. After apologizing, Junta reveals that he skipped breakfast, and Kubo asks him if it's because he was saving his appetite for her cooking. Before Junta can respond, Akina calls the two to have food, and when Junta sees the food, he immediately says that everything looks too good to be turned into his poop. Meanwhile, Seita stuffs his face with the food made by Saki and prays that he gets his own spin-off with Saki as his heroine. Junta, being an introverted loser, eyes the hamburger steak until Kubo serves him some and says that she caught him looking at it. Akina watches the two like a curious scientist and jugs down a few too many beers before telling Junta that her sister is being way too wifey for him. While Junta is startled by Akina's behavior, she further clings to him, telling him to join the family so they can all experience their version of Sweet Home Alabama. Feeling jealous, Kubo glares at Akina and Junta before walking away to touch some grass. When Junta tries to go after her, his legs cave in, since he had been sitting for way too long. After getting an earful from Saki, Junta takes Seita and follows Kubo, when suddenly Seita starts crying as he feels like his parents just got divorced. Then, through tears, Seita tells Junta to make it to the shoddy, even though it's not his fault. This leaves Junta in shock as he wonders when his bro went from goo goo gaga to being a relationship expert. Without wasting more time, Junta catches up to Kubo and apologizes to her, but she coldly tells him that it's not even his fault and walks away, leaving him completely broken. Seconds later, Kobo realizes that she was being mean to Junta for no reason when Seita suddenly holds her skirt and tells Kobo to take pity on his stupid brother. That's when Kobo finds Seita dying in misery and immediately rushes to console him. After Kubo is done apologizing for her behavior, Junta admits that he was confused about what he did wrong, as he is dense about a lot of things. But this makes Kubo happy since she has a thing for inexperienced virgin losers, so she immediately forgives Junta and tells him they should spend some quality time with Seita. As they walk around the park holding Seita's hands, Kubo tells Junta that she wants to be in the same class as him. A couple of days later, Junta wakes up to start a new chapter of his life, but while he is walking to school, he admits that not a lot of things will change for him, as he is still as unnoticeable as ever. So unlike most people who have anxiety about the new semester, Junta casually enters his new class and tries to find his seat when Kubo greets him. She then tells him that his seat is next to the window in the back, and Junta thinks that he is finally getting some main character privileges. Just then, Kubo is greeted by her girls, who are super excited to be in the same class as hers. Meanwhile, Junta takes his seat and is wondering who his seat neighbor will be when Kubo arrives and reveals that he is stuck with her for another 2 years since they won't have a class shuffle for the 3rd semester. As always, Junta stares blankly, making Kubo realize that there are no profound thoughts behind Junta's ugly black eyes. She then covers herself and Junta with the curtain and tells him that she wants to have loads of fun this year, which makes Junta smile. At this moment, Junta realizes that the only reason he has started to enjoy school is because of Kubo, since she is the only person who is able to see him. Before he gets too deep in his feelings, Junta goes back to being a mute dummy, which confuses Kubo, and she tries to ask him if he's okay. Junta remains quiet as he thinks Kubo will make fun of him if she knew how he felt. Later that day, Kubo hangs out with her girls to celebrate the start of their new academic session. When they ask about Junta, Kubo reveals that he is also in their class, which shocks the girls since they thought an alien had finally kidnapped Junta for being a rare Pokemon. Kubo smiles and tells the girls that she knew he was in the same class because he is once again her seat neighbor, but Tama calls bull on that and tells Kubo she can see Junta because she is balls deep in love with him. The next day, Kubo asks Junta which community he will be joining, and he casually tells her that whatever is left for him to pick. Knowing he was in an environmental community last year, Kubo tells Junta that, thanks to him, the flower beds were always looking pretty. Before Junta can take pride in it, Kubo reveals that people started thinking it was the work of a ghost, and Junta instantly loses all hope in humanity. Kubo then asks Junta if he enjoyed being in the environmental community, and he admits that it was a pain in the nuts since he had to do a lot of maintenance work. However, he did feel accomplished when the flowers bloomed since all the baddies would come to see his flower beds, which made his wood blossom in his pants. Just then, the teacher asks the students to join the environmental community, but everyone groans in annoyance since no one wants to join the craptastic environmental community. Noticing everyone's reaction, the teacher starts crying in disappointment, but then Kubo raises her hand and states that she wants to join. When their economy-sized teacher hears this, he becomes happy when Kubo adds that Junta also wants to volunteer, making him freak out. However, the teacher is glad that someone cares about the freaking environment, so he thanks Junta for taking care of the flowers. Meanwhile, Junta goes into depression since he won't be able to stare at the girls' gyots when they come to see his flower beds, because Kubo will be there. Just then, Kubo asks Junta if he is happy, and he really wants to ask if his dumb face has shown any signs of happiness, but he bites his tongue and asks Kubo why she volunteered. Instead of telling Junta that she saw how cute he looked taking care of the flowers, Kubo tells him that she wanted to try something new for fun. Later that day, Junta hears a couple of his classmates talking about how he must have joined the environmental community to rizz up a premium baddie like Kubo. Knowing this was gonna happen, Junta quietly takes his seat when Kubo comes up to him and apologizes for dragging his name through the mud. Just then, a boy named Sudo tells those jerks that Junta was in the environmental community last year as well, which means he wasn't doing it for Kubo's cupcakes. However, in return, the boys start calling Sudo a plant murderer since he was also in the community, but his flower beds never saw the light. While watching this, Kubo tells Junta that he must be really happy that someone noticed his worthless presence, and he starts freaking out since he is starting to believe Kubo can read minds. After lunch break, Junta walks towards the science lab, wondering who his group mates will be for this year. After finding out he is stuck with Kobo and Pseudo, Junta feels a bit at ease, until he notices that Pseudo is looking for an eraser. Junta has 5 inches his pencil box, but thanks to his social anxiety, he has trouble offering one to Subo. The end looking up, Junta finds Kubo giving him a stupid smile and instantly knows she is plotting something. Seconds later, Kubo tells Pseudo that Junta has plenty of stationery for the world, making him blush in embarrassment. When he clarifies that he keeps extra things because he has a history of dropping things, Pseudo bursts out laughing and tells Junta he is way too funny. Since this is the first time Junta has been called funny, he goes into a state of shock, while Pseudo tells him that he has been meaning to talk to him for a while now. Turns out, Pseudo wanted some gardening tips from Junta, but because of his invisibility skills, it was nearly impossible to find him. After class, Junta finds himself on cloud 9, since he always wanted to have a bro before a hoe. Noticing his happy mood, Kobo smiles, which prompts Junta to thank her since she is the whole reason Pseudo started talking to him. So when he tells Kubo that Pseudo is the second person after her that he enjoyed talking to, Kubo tells him to go ahead, as she runs off to calm her beating heart. After school, Junta stops to buy some water when Kubo surprises him from behind and makes him nearly wet himself. On the way home, Kubo asks Junta if he prefers drinking water over cola, and he reveals that he just feels sorry for water since it's mostly overlooked like him. However, Kubo tells Junta that water can be really powerful since it can take any shape it wants. So with that many possibilities in front of him, he can also become anyone he wants to be. After thinking about what Kubo said, Junta shares with her that he wants to have a fulfilling youth, so she tells him the ingredient for that is having friends. However, this makes Junta depressed, since the only friend he has is Talking Tom. When Kubo hears this, she starts pouting and tells Junta that she thought they were friends. At that moment, Junta's sad little world becomes a lot brighter as he realizes he's friends with the hottest girl in school. The following day in class, Kubo tells Junta they should have a staring contest, and Junta agrees. So to win, he starts making funny faces, which makes him look 10 times more ugly than he already is. When he notices Kubo smiling at him, he asks her why she is so happy, and she tells him that this is the longest he has looked at her. Feeling embarrassed, Junta quickly puts his head down and tells Kubo to have mercy on his poor heart. As punishment for losing the game, Kubo orders Junta to greet her every morning, which surprises him, and he asks why she didn't avail this golden opportunity to see his anaconda. Later that day, Junta is aura farming when a student accidentally covers him in chalk, which makes him cough horribly. Fearing he looks like Casper, Junta hurries outside to clean himself up when Kubo shows up to check on him. Junta quickly assures Kubo that it's his fault for having the same visibility as bacteria, which makes her feel sorry for him, so she decides to help him clean up. While Junta's heart is going doki doki, Kubo runs her fingers through his hair and tells him that L'Oreal Paris should hire him for their hair care ads. After that, Kubo tells Junta to feel her hair, but he freaks out until Kubo insists that he grab them because she's freaky like that. As Junta gently holds her hair, he admits that her hair is lighter than his, which means hair pulling is off the table. After hearing this, Kubo asks Junta what sort of hairstyles he likes on girls, so he tells her that all the cultured men like women in ponytails. With that, Junta excuses himself and runs to the nearest toilet to calm his beating heart. Meanwhile, Kubo grabs her hair in a ponytail and wonders if she should tie up her hair tomorrow. Several hours later, the lowly teacher reminds everyone that they will have a physical exam tomorrow. Junta is excited for it, as he is eager to know if his height has grown or not. Just then, Kubo tells him that he grew an inch tall, which makes him so happy that he nearly goes into a coma, since he rarely gets any comments on his appearance. Once Junta is back to his usual self, Kubo asks him if she has grown a little, and Junta's eyes directly land on her airbags, making him lose control. Kubo then tells Junta they should compare their heights, as she is eager to know who will be the shawty in the relationship. Despite hesitating a little, Junta agrees, and the two head outside for the measurements. As Kubo tells Junta to stand straight, it instantly becomes clear to him that she is just trying to toy with him. After his measurements, Kubo goes next, and for some reason, Junta is suddenly mesmerized by how pretty she is. Kubo, on the other hand, is glad that she is an inch shorter than Junta, while Junta takes off running after feeling funny in his pants. As he stops to catch his breath, Junta realizes he accidentally brought Kubo's scale with him, and decides to return it the next day. The following morning, Junta walks up to Kubo and awkwardly greets her, which startles her a bit before recalling their agreement. Later in class, Junta changes into his tracksuit and realizes that his clothes have gotten more snug on him. Just then, Kubo walks in and asks Junta to let her wear his jacket, so he reluctantly hands it to her. After wearing Junta's jacket, Kubo tries to pose cutely in front of him, which turns his sausage into a foot-long subway. Before he can ask Kubo to return his jacket, she tells Junta that she is going to borrow his jacket so she can sniff his perfume throughout the day. Several moments later in the gym, Kubo's friends praise her for not gaining weight, but she sadly tells them that she will never have fat jugs because of her fast metabolism. On the weekend, Akina finds Kubo reading one of her magazines and immediately knows she is trying to be more hot for that skinny twink Junta. Then, just hours later, she runs into Junta, who had been hiding behind a pole. After asking him what he is up to, Junta reveals that he was quietly checking up on Seita since it's his first time doing errands. This makes Akina emotional as she starts recalling Kubo's childhood days. With nothing better to do, Akina decides to join Junta, and the two vigilantly watch Seita finish his first errand successfully. Once he safely returns to Junta, Akina gets teary-eyed and tells Junta that Kubo purchased eggs on her first errand, but on her way, she tripped and broke all the eggs like an idiot. So when she returned home, she was bawling like a moron, and Akina reassured her that it was okay. However, Kubo only stopped crying when she received multiple head pats from Akina, which Junta admits is hard for him to imagine since Kubo is always acting cold around Akina. After oversharing with Junta, Akina tells him that Kubo loves getting pets on her head, and Junta thinks that he loves getting pets on his head, too, the other head, of course. Unfortunately for him, Akina brushes his head and tells him that she is counting on him to look after Kubo. On Friday, Junta excitedly looks at his phone since his favorite manga is finally getting its movie released, and while he is daydreaming about it, Kubo tries to catch his attention. After finally being noticed, Kubo asks Junta what's gotten him so occupied, and he tells her about the movie, thinking Kubo won't be interested. To his surprise, Kubo reveals she read his favorite manga, and even collected some figurines of the characters. She then asks Junta if he has company for the cinema, knowing perfectly well that no one talks to this gross loser. As Junta reveals he is going alone, Kubo offers to join him, saying she wants to watch the movie as well. Upon hearing this, Junta's disgusting virgin brain short-circuits, while Kubo happily tells him that she can't wait to spend time with him. On the weekend, Junta waits for Kubo, and is low-key freaking over hanging out with Kubo one-on-one. Just then, Kubo arrives, all dolled up, making Junta's heart race faster than a Formula 1 car. Knowing Junta's introverted nature, Kubo takes the initiative and asks him what he thinks of her ponytail. After Junta tells that she looks good, the two get on a busy train and Junta worries that someone might diddle Kubo, so he asks her to come to his side. However, Kubo decides to hold on to him for protection, which further makes our poor boy tweak out. Just then, a huge wave of people push Junta against Kubo, but even then, Junta makes sure he's not touching Kubo directly, making her realize that Junta is a green forest. Their stop finally arrives, and Junta admits that his legs have been stretched apart like Bonnie Blue's. Then, on the way to the movies, Kubo gets checked out by a bunch of apes who think she is alone. While they are trying to get Kubo's number, Junta watches from afar, realizing Kubo is uncomfortable. So he decides to step in, shocking the boys who can't understand where he came from. Junta then reveals that he has been here the whole time, prompting the lads to ask if he is this baddie's boyfriend. Before Junta can say no, Kubo grabs his arm and claims him as her boyfriend, which sends the guys running. Once they are alone, Kubo tells Junta that she was really scared for a moment, and he admits that he would also choose the bear over men. After finally arriving at the cinema, the duo learns that all the seats are booked, and the next viewing will be very late in the evening. When Junta suggests torrenting the movie from Pirate Bay, Kubo tells him she doesn't mind staying out late with him, as that means more time to build plot. As always, Junta quietly listens as Kubo makes plans to go to multiple places with him until he finally gets his speech update and tells Kubo they need to first book their seats. After telling Junta that she wants to sit next to him, Kubo insists on going to a cafe. When they arrive, they see an ugly couple wasting oxygen by getting all lovey-dovey. Kubo is impressed and asks Junta if he wants to play boyfriend and girlfriend, but he immediately refuses, making her realize that she will need another season to get laid. Moments later, Junta tells Kubo he is going to order black coffee, which shocks Kubo as she never expected Junta to have such a grown-up taste. So she excitedly tells Junta that she is going to order the same thing, which pushes Junta to ask Kubo if this is her first time drinking coffee. Kubo admits that her family and friends have never allowed her to drink coffee before, which makes Junta realize that Kubo is more innocent than she looks. Once their coffee arrives, Kubo excitedly takes a sip, only to realize that this adult stuff is not her thing. When Kubo sees Junta casually drinking his bitter coffee, she snatches his cup and takes a sip from it, only to realize that Junta wasn't bluffing her. Seeing her reaction, Junta gets up to order some sweetener and cream, but Kubo stops him and says she wants to have the same thing as him. Even though Junta is touched by Kubo's words, he gets the sweetener and adds some in his cup and tells her that they can have matching drinks even now. After finishing her coffee, Kubo thanks Junta for showing her what adulting looks like, which makes Junta smile, and he finds himself thinking that Kubo is sweeter than the coffee he just had. Later on, they head to an arcade where Junta plays a lottery game but keeps on losing, until Kubo steps in and tells Junta that she is lucky with these things. True enough, Kubo wins a plushie and tells Junta to give it to Seita as a present. Just then, Kubo realizes they are late for the movie, causing them to dash towards the cinema. When the movie starts, Kubo notices that Junta's facial expressions have finally changed to looking happy, which in return makes her happy. After the movie, Kubo tells Junta that it was nice to see him happy today, and he tells her that he doesn't often smile because he doesn't want to look creepy and more unapproachable than he already is. As they walk home together, Kubo tells Junta that she loves hanging out with him and wants to do it again sometime. After promising to hang out with her again, Junta walks towards his home and wonders if Kubo could tell how in love he was with her today. The next morning, Junta wakes up thinking about Kubo. After arriving at school, he is greeted by Kubo, who asks him if he is into horoscope. Junta immediately tells her that his mom told him to stay away from girls who are into zodiac signs since they are all witches. After hearing this, Kubo changes her mind and does a personality test on Junta by telling him to envision a field with flowers. When Junta reveals that he can only imagine a single flower, Kubo tells him that it means he's going to only date one person in his lifetime. While Junta thinks Kubo is talking about his left hand, Kubo wonders if she will ever get a chance to crack this skinny boy. After that, they Google another test which determines the number of their offsprings, and both of them end up selecting a number that will lead them to have a football team. Later that night, Kubo sees Akina having coffee and asks her for some. However, when Akina tells Kubo she isn't mature enough to handle it, Kubo proudly reveals she has already drank black coffee. After a moment of surprise, Akina asks Kubo for details, since she is a jobless loser who is only obsessed with her sister. Kubo then reveals that she had it last weekend, and Akina recalls that she was super worried about how she looked that day. As this was the first time Kubo was acting so cute, Akina had wondered who made her sister act like a girly girl. In the present, Akina tells Kubo that she is a little sad about her growing up, since she used to be a cute little girl who would follow her around. At this, Kubo reveals that she wanted to drink coffee because she saw her doing it, so in a way, she is still trying to follow her. Upon hearing this, Akina freezes in surprise while Kubo runs away with her coffee mug, leaving Akina to think that one day, Kubo will marry a boy and move out of her home. The next day in class, Junta thinks to himself that even though it's his birthday today, he hasn't gotten a single wish from anyone. Just then, his stomach growls louder than a grizzly bear, leaving everyone surprised. Junta feels embarrassed, wondering why he always gets noticed when he does something embarrassing. Seeing Junta wallow in shame, Kubo offers him a candy bar for his hunger, which Junta graciously accepts. Upon closer look, he finds a happy birthday sticky note on his and looks at Kubo with surprise. Smiling at him, Kubo reveals that she knew it was his birthday because of his identity card, and then gives him another cat kit which has a sticky note instructing him to look inside his desk. As Junta peeks in, he finds a wrapped present which he excitedly opens and discovers a cute little axolotl. Kubo then reveals that when she saw the plushie, it reminded her of him, so she immediately purchased it. When Junta remains silent, Kubo starts sweating buckets and wonders if she should have just purchased some Jordans for him. However, Junta quickly tells her that he will cherish the gift. After that, he asks about her birthday, and Kubo reveals that it's in August, which means she will be looking forward to her present. Junta tells her to keep her expectations low since he is a broke boy living with a single mom. So, in return, Kubo feeds him the cat kit and tells Junta that she'll always be there on his birthday. This overwhelms Junta, and he quickly places his head on his desk to calm his blushing face. After school, Junta passes by all the people that are trying to find him, and later wonders why Kubo is the only one who is able to see him. Meanwhile, Kobo looks at Junta from the window and recalls the very first time she became interested in him. It was during their first year, when she saw Junta's picture edited in Tama's graduation yearbook. She found it weird that his picture was pasted separately, even though he was present in the photo. When Kubo asked Tama what was the reason behind such tomfoolery, she told her it was because Junta is invisible and nobody could spot him. This piqued up Kubo's interest, and she wondered if she would be able to see Junta when they start the new semester. On her first day of school, Kubo's eyes immediately landed on Junta, which got her wondering why Tama said he was invisible when she could easily see him. Just when she thought Tama was being dramatic, she saw everyone ignoring Junta like he was wearing Harry Potter's invisibility cloak. This made Kubo so amused that she would often snicker at him and become more interested in getting to know him. As Kubo continued to observe Junta from afar, she wondered why his expressions never changed. Then, one day, their teacher announced a seat shuffle, and to Kubo's luck, she ended up sitting right next to the boy she had been obsessing over. Without wasting time, Kubo immediately greeted Junta, who was shocked that someone had finally noticed his worthless existence. This only made Kubo laugh harder, while Junta told her that this is the first time someone has intentionally talked to him. When Kobo heard this, she immediately felt over the moon as she thought she had a superpower since she was the only one who could see Junta. On the other hand, Junta found Kubo scary as she was being unnecessarily sweet to a loser like him. In the present, Kubo and Junta gaze at each other as Kubo tells Junta that she can't wait to see him tomorrow, while thinking to herself that she just can't stop loving him. Do you also want a waifu like Kubo? Comment oranges if you want to see more such recaps, and as always, like and subscribe for more anime videos.